My dear penguins, we stand on a great threshold. It's okay to be scared. Many of you won't be coming back. Thanks to Batman, the time has come to punish all God's children.
You know, the penguin thing was kind of crazy. You know, to have all these penguins. But a lot of them were puppets. There were a lot of early computer effects, but a lot of them were real. And it's not easy to find a lot of penguins, and their mating schedules are very complicated. When they're born, when they need to mate, when they need to be cold, when they need to warm up.
Action!
Big penguins, the little penguins. It was a lot of fun, but you know, it was very complicated keeping this going for months and months, and which shots had which penguins.
We have 30 Blackfoot penguins and 12 king penguins that make up the shooting group. They're going to add to that in various ways to make an army of thousands of penguins.
All these birds here are hand-tamed. I wouldn't use any other birds at all. I'm like mummy or daddy to them, you know, so I just gently persuasion with them.
When we start teaching them to wear the gear, we have to put it on little by little, slowly at first, so that if you just put it on them, they'd be apprehensive about it. But we very slowly show them that the hat's not going to bite them, and gradually put it on over a period of weeks so that they're accustomed to it.
Movie making is a somewhat unnatural thing to do, and you're always a little more nervous when you're working with children animals because you have to make sure everything is right.
You're all doing a fine job. Okay, they love it here.
What we've trained the birds to do is to come to a call, and when they get to where they're going, they each get a fish. And so they come to these puppy pens, and with the bucket and the fish, and so we put the bucket, the puppy pens, and the fish where we want them to go, and whistle, and off they go, like magic. And it works every time and never fails.
My babies. I live with them. They're my babies.
The penguins had a great time. They just have to walk from one place to the other, and they got fed a lot. But there were certain things that the penguins couldn't do. They couldn't actually fire the missiles on their backs because clearly that was dangerous to them. We weren't going to do that. They couldn't escort the dead penguin character down the ramp into the water. They couldn't do the things that in the movie they were required to do. So the production went to Stan Winston to develop and build penguin puppets who could work in close-up and were articulated to do some of the actions.
Penguins had to act in this. So one of our big problems was the fact that we were going to be creating penguins that were a combination of animatronic puppets and little people in suits that would actually be on the set with live penguins. And for you as an audience not to be able to know the difference between which ones are the puppets doing what they're being told to do and which ones are the real penguins running around doing what they want to do. And it worked.
We're building right here a prototype penguin. We haven't done anything as far as working on the cosmetics from this angle. We're working purely on the mechanics, the segmenting of the ring core, the radio-controlled 3-axis flipper that it's got. We take the actual fiberglass pieces and the UVEX vacuform understructures and try and make it move the same way the skeleton does. We're assuming that it's going to take 3 to 5 operators per penguin. We're not sure if the penguins are going to be sitting still in any one scene, or if it's a scene where it's walking around, it would require more operators. It'll vary from action to action, but I would think 5 operators per penguin would be a good average.
Look at him. Are you talking to me? Are you looking at me? Are you looking at me? Why don't you look at them? Fine. What you're not seeing right now, of course, is all of the head will be totally mechanized. The beak is mechanized, the eyes will be mechanized, they will be able to emote. So within a week, we will be going into mass assembly of the number of penguins that we have to do, which is quite a number. We have 3 different sizes of animatronic penguins, and we're doing 10 of each of those. And we're doing 6 animatronic penguins that are little people in suits. So they're little people in suits and they also have animatronic heads and wings.
This too is just a prototype. The eventual finished piece will be a UVEX vacuform. Go ahead and help put that on, Michiko. We're going to have a soft foam latex skin that will encompass the eye areas and the webbing at the corner of the mouth on both sides, so that we're not going to have quite this much rigid material. The beak will be a rigid material, and the skull will blend back into the fur at the base. We'll have motion of the mouth, which will be driven by a radio-controlled servo. The eyes will have up, down, left, right, also driven by radio control, and there's going to be a lower lid squint.
There were more animatronic characters working at the same time on Batman Returns than any movie I can remember to date.
We did some studying. I want to say that there were a week or so before they moved everything down to the lot. We all met at Stan's studio for Penguin rehearsals and get to know your puppet and get to know how it's put together and the mechanics of it. This is how a bird moves.
I believe the word you're looking for is
I do remember that the penguins on the penguins' lair were all anchored to the floor, with the exception of the emperor penguins that were the suit performers. So all of those 30-some-odd puppets didn't do any walking, so it was all just wing flaps and head movement. So if Danny is walking up from his boat talking to his penguin children, all the attention was supposed to go to where he was. And at the same time, they had to look alive.
the liberation of Gotham has begun!
Given that there were different types of penguins that we dealt with, emperors, kings, Blackfeet, when the comparison came to the live penguins and the animatronic penguins, it actually didn't hurt us at all. It helped us because it mixed up the different kinds of penguins, and it also took away the edge from what's real and what's not.
What Stan wasn't able to do, and through no fault of his own, is that we did have an army, and we had wide shots where we had to see hundreds, if not thousands, of penguins marching down the street in formation and then turning around and going the other direction, doing all sorts of things like that. Those shots were actually invented sort of late in the day. We didn't know when we started the movie we were actually going to be creating shots of that scale. We created CG penguins at Boss Film.
We drew a bunch of lines on a wall for height and scale and distance. And I spent a whole day filming penguins walking, stopping, doing things, so the animators could actually see what they did as characters. That was then turned over to our computer guys, fledgling group, follow what the penguins were doing in wireframe. So you'd start with a wireframe, so we'd get a nice walk going, a nice cycle. What that frame is for is to pin the skin on. At the intersection of each of these vertical and horizontal lines is a mathematical point. So the skin is then pinned onto those points, and now you have a three-dimensional thing with skin that's where it's supposed to be. And that was basically the technique. You make one penguin do something, and you multiply it 100 times.
The wonderful thing about the penguins was how they walked and moved. They really moved like penguins, and they were a delight to work on. We had some real talent here.
The penguins have reached Gotham Square.
Using all of these methods together, using digital animation, using real birds, using people in suits, using animatronics, using all of these technologies, and blending them seamlessly is why the Army of Penguins worked so well.